Hi Algebra 2. Today we're doing Unit 4, Lesson 4, and we're finding equations of exponentials. So our exponential function is right here. F of x equals a times b to the x. A is the y-intercept. Okay, so that number in front is the y-intercept. So that's not the number that's being raised to the exponent. And b is the multiplier. How much we multiply when x increases 1 unit is what it really means. How much we multiply, oops, I left out much. How much we multiply when x increases 1 unit. Alright, so we're going to look at a couple problems. For exercise 1, we have an exponential function of the form f of x equals a times b to the x in the table. So all of that data is in the table right there. Determine the values of a and b and explain your reasoning. So remember that a is the y-intercept. Okay, so my y-intercept, this one's going to be easy. On my y-intercept, x is 0, so a is just going to be 5. And look at my x values. See how my x values are just increasing by 1 unit each time. And look at my y values. X is increasing 1, but y is increasing by 3. It's 3 times as much. X goes from 1 to 2, but y goes from 15 to 45. Again, it multiplies by 3. X goes from 2 to 3, but y goes from 45 to 135. It increases by 3. So x is my input. Okay, that is increasing by 1. And my output, my y, is being multiplied by 3. So my multiplier is my b, that is going to be 3. So my final equation is f of x equals 5 times 3 to the x. So I want you to understand what's happening here, but you can also do this in the calculator. So I'll show you how to do it, but I'm going to write how to do it also. So in your calculator, you're going to go to Stat, you're going to go to Edit, and for L1 and L2, you're going to put in my L1 or my x values, 0 and 1. You just need to put in, two coordinates, 2 xy's. So I'm going to put in 0 and 5, so that would be my L2, and 1 and 15. And then after you do that, you're going to hit Stat, Calc. Now, if you have a regular graphing calculator, not the one that I'm going to use on my iPad right here, you hit 0. You basically want it to say EXPREG. Okay, and then you hit Enter, Enter, Enter. Let me show you how it works on mine. But you need to understand how to do this. And we're going to be writing equations. This is a Regents kind of question that they ask you to do it algebraically. So you do have to understand all of this, but I'll just show you in the calculator. So Graph and Calc 83, that's the one that I'm using right here. And let me clear this. So I'm going to go to Stat, okay, Edit. And I already put my numbers in. So I have 0 is my L1, 5 is my L2, 1 is my L1, and 15 is my L2. And then I'm going to hit Stat again, and I'm going to hit Calc. Now, remember, on my calculator, it is not 0, but on a regular graphing calculator, it is. This is the TI-83. So I'm going to press A, which is EXPREG, exponential regression. So I hit that. And I'm going to hit, now you're going to hit Enter, Enter, Enter a couple times on your graphing calculator if you have a real graphing calculator. But see my A and my B. There it is. Done. Okay. So let's look at exercise 2. So for an exponential function of the form f of x equals ab to the x, it is known that f of 0 equals 8 and f of 3 equals 1,000. Use the fact that f of 0 equals 8 to determine the value of a. Show your thinking. Okay, so remember, a is my y-intercept. F of 0, or my y-intercept, x is 0. So a is just equal to 8. Okay, because 8 is the y-intercept. And then I'm going to, well, I can do it out if you don't see what it is, but 8 is my point. Okay, so if I'm looking at y equals ax to the 8th, 8 is my point, and 0 is my point. What was my, I'm sorry, yeah, 8, and then I have 0. Sorry, this should be a b. Okay, so right there. This is b to the x, right? That's my equation. Y equals ab to the x. We're doing exponential. And b is, I don't know, but x is going to be 0. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So you can see how I'm just solving for this. And then to get a by itself, a is just 8. But we already knew that just thinking about it logically. Now we're going to use your answer from part A and the fact that f of 3 equals 1,000 to set up an equation to solve for b. So once you know what A is, you can easily find b by plugging it back in. So f of x equals a times b to the x. All right. F of x, I know what a is. A is 8. 8 times b to the x. And I actually have my y. Y is 1,000. I'm going to use this point right here. So y is 1,000 and x is 3. 8 times b to the 3rd. So there I go. Now, once I have an equation like that, I can solve for b. So I'm going to do that in part C down below. I'm going to take that equation, 1,000 equals 8b to the 3rd. Okay, and I'm going to solve for b. So I'm going, this is an equal sign right there. I'm going to divide by 8. All right, so 1,000 divided by 8 is 125 equals b to the 3rd. And then to solve for b, I take the cubed root of 125. The cubed root, if you're not sure what it is, you can always do that in your graphing calculator. You hit the math. But I know that the cubed root of 125 is just 5. So once I have an A and once I have a B, so I have the A from part A and I have the B from this part C right here, I can just go and I can write my equation. And so basically I have y equals 8 times 5 to the x. Okay, I want to find f of 2. So another way I could have written this as f of x equals 8 times 5 to the x. All right, and I want to find f of 2, so I'm plugging in 2. 8 times 5 to the 2nd power. 5 to the 2nd power is 25, and 8 times 25 is 200. Again, you can use your graphing calculator, and you hit stat, and in L1, you're putting in, you always need 2 points. So my points are 0, 8, and 3, 1,000. You put those in for L1 and L2, and then you hit stat and calc, and you want that, whatever it happens to be on your calculator, whether it's 0 or A, and then you hit enter, 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 and it'll give you the A and the B. But you have to know how to do this also algebraically. All right. Next page. An exponential function exists that f of 4 equals 3 and f of 6 equals 48. Which of the following must be the value of its base? Okay, so again, you can put this into your calculator, into L1 and L2. Okay, so my points are 4, 3, and 6, and 48. This is multiple choice, so you absolutely can do that. All right, but if you think about it logically, okay, x is 4 and y is 3. When x is 5, I don't know what y is, but when x is 6, y is 48. So if I'm trying to figure out my multiplier, my b right here, I don't know what y is when x is 5, and I do know when it's 48, so basically I am doing b times b to get the multiplier. Okay, so 3b squared equals 48. 3 times b is the next value, but I don't have the next one, so it's for me, it's 3 times b squared is 48. B squared equals 16, and b equals 4. So because we increased x by 2 times, we are squaring that base. We didn't know what this in-between value was. Okay, but you can just use your calculator, And if I'm going to use my calculator, I'm just going to stat. Okay, I'm going to go to edit. I have to get rid of these values that are in there. So I'll get rid of those. And I come back up here to L1. So my L1 is 4. The next value, my next X value is 6. I'm putting those both in. And then I'm putting in my Y values of 3 and 48. And then I'm just hitting stat. And I'm hitting calc. And I want my exponential regression. And you will have to hit enter, 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 enter. But you can see that B is 4 right there. Now, most of the problems that you're going to have to do are similar to exercise 4. So this would be a typical regions question where I'm going to give you 2 points and you have to algebraically figure out what A and B are. You have to algebraically determine the equation of that exponential function. So they take you through the steps to do that. But here's what you're basically going to do. You're going to substitute the points into the general form of an exponential. The general form of an exponential is y equals ab to the x. Now my points are 2 and 36 and 5 and 121.5. Of course we got a decimal there, but you're going to see it really doesn't matter. So my two equations are 36 equals a times b squared and 121.5 equals ab to the fifth. So these are my two equations. We're then going to take these equations and we're going to divide so the a's drop out and I can solve for the b. So we're going to take the equations and divide. Now, does it matter which one goes on top? It sort of does matter which one goes on top. I want the higher exponent to be on top. So I'm going to put the 121.5 equals ab to the fifth on top, and I'm going to divide by the 36 equals ab squared. So I just took the equation with the higher exponent and put it on top. Because look what happens. The a's cancel. When I'm dividing, b to the fifth divided by b squared, when I'm dividing, I subtract those exponents and I have b to the third. 121.5 divided by 36, you can do that in your calculator. Okay, and that's all they really wanted me to do so far. And then in part C, I'm solving for b. So I have b to the third equals 3.375. To solve, I take the cubed root of 3.375. Again, you hit that math key on your calculator. B is 1.5. Now, once you know what b is, you just go back to either equation. It doesn't matter which one, okay? And you need to find your a. So I'm going to go back and substitute and find a. So I'm going to use the equation that does not have the decimal in it. So here I'm going to find a. That's my next step. 36 equals a. I know what b is, 1.5 squared. And I'm solving for a, so I'm going to divide by 1.5 squared. Both sides get divided by 1.5 squared. So 36 divided by 1.5 squared, a is 16. Once I know what a is and I know what b is, I can then, all I'm going to do is go back to my general form of an exponential function and I'm going to substitute it in. So my general form is y equals a times b to the x. And now I know my a is 16, I know my b is 1.5, and there is my equation. So there's a little summary here on how to do that. So basically you substitute in the x and y values. You divided the equations to eliminate the a value. Remember, when you divide the values with the same bases, you subtract those exponents. Make sure you're putting the higher exponent on top so you don't have a negative. You solve for b, and then you're going to substitute, go back to either equation. It doesn't matter which one, and you're going to then solve for a. All right, so let's practice that. Let's look at one more on the next side. So exercise 5, I want to find the equation of the exponential function shown graph below. These are my points. My points are -2, 128, and 2, 1/2. Now 1/2 is just 0.5, so I'm going to write it as a decimal because I don't want to be writing fractions. So I'm going to write those two equations. Remember, you're just substituting in the x and the y into my exponential function y equals ab to the x. So I'm going to do that over here. 128 equals ab to the -2. And 0.5 equals ab to the +2. Those are my equations. Now I want to divide them. I want to put the one with the higher exponent on top so that I can avoid having, I don't want to have negative exponents when I subtract. So I'm going to put the b squared one on top, and I'm going to divide by 128 over ab to the negative 2. The a's cancel. When I divide, I subtract the exponents, so this leaves with me with b to the 4th. And when I divide, I get 0.00390625. Don't round off, just leave that in your calculator. This is b to the 4th, so I am just going to take the 4th root of this. You never have to clear your calculator at all, and you get b equals 0.25. Okay, then I plug in to find a. So again, either equation, I don't care which one that I'm going to do. I did the one, even though it has a decimal in it, I did do the one with the positive exponent. So ab squared, but I know what b is. B is 0.25. And to solve for a, I need to get a by itself. I'm going to take the 0.5 and divide by 0.25 squared. And a is actually 8. So after all that, it wasn't too terrible. Now I need to still write my equation. So I'm going to do that in a different color so you can see what the answer is. Remember, my equation is y equals ab to the x. Now I know what a is. A is 8. And I know what b is. B is 0.25. And that is my equation. Okay, I think we practiced that